Hoo-ha! Togo, Nogabe.
Hashtag enough is enough. Noma nisibulala, noma nisihlukumeza, noma nidlwengula ingane, ngeke phela amandla, noma nisishaya, noma nisihlukumeza, noma nisibulala, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, thina sikhuleka, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, thina sizonqoba, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, ngeke phela amandla, thina sizoqhubeka, ngeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, thina sizonqoba, angeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, thina sizoqhubeka, ngeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, angeke phela amandla, thina sizoqhubeka. Give it up for Rita!
Tears flooding down my face. What a disgrace. The men in our lives are wiping us out. The total disregard of our voices when we shout, stop. I am shivering in disbelief. Such disregard of the female body has left me stuck with grief. We are being victimized, terrorized, and tortured. The same person that's supposed to protect you is the same person that hangs your highly pregnant body on a tree. The same person that's supposed to be your rock is the same person that chops your body into pieces and puts it in a bag. The same person that gives you pleasure is the same person that puts your body in a bin and burns it at a field. Or storms in a room and stabs you beyond cognition. Well, in this country, you're even killed at the post office. I feel nauseated, sick to my core. What are we teaching our children, our uncles? Our boys should be agents of change and never mirror this toxic masculinity. Senzeni na, senzeni. What are we teaching our children? Anyege siphela amandla.
Senzeni na, senzeni na, senzeni na, senzeni, 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 senzeni. Lesireletse basari, lesireletse lebana, eskabulaya, buntate akerieme. Lesireletse basari, lesireletse lebana, eskabulaya. Angeke phela amandla. Angeke phela amandla. Angeke phela amandla. Thina sizoqhubeka. Angeke phela amandla. Angeke phela amandla. Angeke phela amandla. Thina sizonqoba. #enough is enough. Amandla.
Shabelang o stoko matsoho. Ha re reme se bana le basadi. Mantswe a matla o stoko. Rona re ntse re le hopotsa re re monna yena ha fole. Faith the poet o teng. Faith the poet. Ke kopa o atamele kgaitsi ya ka. Already. Thabiso. Wa maluti. Atamela ngwana mme. Atamela ngwana mme. Re sebeletsa nako jwale.
Dad.
Sthala ke sa ngwana mme. Mo shapela matso.
Taba seso dumelang le kae? Dumelang batho ba baholo, dumelang bana ba banyenyana, dumelang bohle. Le baetapele ka ho qoleha. Are le boe mo hao amrana modimo ke a re dumedisa pe hape le bitso ke Thabiso Maluti ke hlaha ke le kwana qwaqwa di mahlo ke e mong wa batjha ba ratileng fela hore ke tlo bua ka tsela ya mmino ai hantle ntwa GBVF at all ke kopa ke etse se ke se bitseditsweng kwa ke a leboha.
Sala ha bohloko seboko ke kgaitsedi ya bonyeng monna hobaneng o mohlekefetsa hobaneng o bolaya bana le batho ba bona rato lena ke le jwa le hlotsi mbatumedi ke le jwa mana le rato lena ke le jwa bana le tletseng dipolayano ke le jwa le hloka tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso ho wena monna le hloka fela tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso ho wena monna le hloka fela tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso le hloka fela tshireletso etswang wena monna kapo le hloka fela snogonogo le hloka fela snogonogo le hloka fela snogonogo wena monna kiri le hloka fela snogonogo le hloka fela snogonogo le hloka fela snogonogo rata motho wa hao monna le hloka snogonogo monna o morate uska mulaya
Amen.
ha o sa morate motlohele o seke wa mulaya mo fele rato fela ha sa morate motlohele o seke wa mulaya mo mofuthu o tshepile wena ka matsatsi ngwaneso ke a tseba o na le ho halifa empa ska molaya lika o kopana le bontate o ba jwetse bothata ba hao o ska molaya ke a o kopa
a re kaofela
le hloka tshireletso le batla fela tshireletso le batla fela tshireletso ho wena monna le baka tshireletso ho wena monna o ska molaya o tshepile wena
ke a leboha
Moshapele matsoho. Ra leboha ngwana mme mphekwana. Tanki abuti wa ka. Motsotsong ona he re tlo bitsa kgaitsedi ya rona Faith the poet. Engwe ya talente e ile sibullwa ka haro marangrang a internet a tuma kgaitsedi ena rona ena Faith the poet. Sebaka ke sa o kgaitsedi ya motho.
Ke bofifi re phoqa eo motho ka masisapelo ao a re siileng ka ona monna ha le jwang a ena le maikutlo a utlwa bohloko hobane le yena ke motho ke batla hore o nkarabe monna hore na ho se bue ha hao ho tswetse molemo ofe ho fihlela ha jwale bua monna o tshwengwa ke eng e thatafaditseng pelo ya hao jwalo a fela masea ba fela basadi ka tsoho la hao le soto monna ba fela banna ba iqeta ka atla tsa bona ekare setjhaba se fedile kutlo ya ka ba qetwa ke kgatello ya maikutlo hobane ha monna Allah ho thwe ke tshehadi ke mosadi ke tshehadi o tshwengwa ke eng e etsang o bone mosadi wa hao le sera sa hao mosadi eo wena o sa qobellwang ho monyala ketso tsa hao di etsa a bonahale e le manyala fahlehong sa hao a fetohe ntho e nyedisang mahlong a hao ke re nkarabe monna bua e tswe ngwana ya salleng o shwella tharing o shwa o ena le ditjhelete hobane qeba la hao ha se le bonwang ka mahlo ke qeba le moyeng o qetwa ke ntho re sa e bone le ha o bososela re tlo epela le bitla ro apese mobu sefubeng e tswe o shwele o ntse o tsamaya hobane kgatello ya maikutlo ya o qeta sefuba sa hao se patile ke dibitla ya ntho empa hana o se phetla potso ya ka e le nngwe ke ya hore monna bothata ba wa hlekefetswa le wena ha ke re empa ka ha o rutilwe hore monna ke nku ha le monna ya llang ke selehe wena o ntshetsa bohloko ba hao basading le baneng ba senang molato ekare o ka utlwisisa hore ba Jehova ha qeta ho bopa monna o ile a mo sheba yaba o re ha ho hotle hore monna be mong yaba o mo etsetsa molekane ya molekaneng empa hobaneng wena tsatsing lena ha o mo sheba o bona ntho eo ka itetekang ka ditebele ebe o mo epela lebitla re sekebe ra tseba hore na bokamoso ba hae bo fella ho ka e bua monna hobane phetho ke tuba hore o bue ke bofe hore bua monna ke a leboha ke rata ho leboha
Bua monna.
ke tloetsa kodi ya mal ho bolokehile o kae ho ba mosadi e re ke lokise polelo. Hobane ha fela o ena le popelo ho sa kgathalatsehe hore na o lemo di kae, o madimabe a ho betwa, ho hlekefetswa, le o phela le sa seterata, kopane le monna wa molata e re ha o sheba a bone dikete tseo a ka di etsang ka mmele wa hao. Re a itwanela, re a shwa, re lokeile ho kae ho ba mosadi. Matla ha re sana ona a ho itwanela sekolong, mosebetsing, sepoleseng ho a tshwana. Ke re le ka hare ho ntlo ya kgumamelo o lahlehelwa ke tumelo hobane ho dula ramautla phiri ka hara boya ba nku diabolosi ka sebele sa hae a ipatile ka mora lentswe la modimo wa mosadi. Di eme, di bata, di harola bana ba batho ka sehloho e ka tsona ha di a tswa popelong tsa rona re le basadi ba fela ba retsho le aparetse mofuta ona o dinama sefubeng. Ke bua ka mofuta o motshehadi, ditopo tsa bona di tletse didibeng, mebileng, mabitleng, nahathote le ka malapeng a bo bona. A fela masea, a fela a tenne malairi, popelonyana tsa bona di rantangwe ke mesifa ya banna ba shwele matswalo, phoofolo tse matlalo a sa thagisweng tsa ba beta, tsa ba qeta. A fela maqheku a rona ka maswebe a ituta a betwe ka sehloho ke bana ba bashanyana ba nkgang mafi ebe ba ba tjheseletsa ka matlong a bona ka sehloho. O welehle bontate, re a ikokobetsa ebe re fositse ha re entse eng ho bolokeile. Re pitla ba e se re mohlomong ba re kometse, ba re metse jwalo ka dinyamatsana. Re etwa ke batho ba re tshepisitseng hore lwanela empa ba re lwa ya ipolaya hobane ho boima o phela ka leqeba le wena o nketseditseng lona mohlekefetsi wa ka. Re qetwa ke batho ba itseng ba re rata empa ba re lata, ba re teteke ha ba qeta ba re bolaye ka sehloho. Modimo ana ke wena eo re mo sitetsweng Jehova re tle re tsebe ho sokoloha. E ka ba o bolokehile ho kae ho ba mosadi ha ke bona e nngwe e ka hare ho ntswalo hang ha mahlo a ka teana le yena. Ebe le haebana sa tlo nketsa letho, kelello ya ka e sentse e loha maano le maqheka a hore na ke tlo etsa jwang, ke tlo itwanela jwang, ke tlo balehela kae ha ka nkatamela. Empa le ha qeta ho fetana le nna, ke sala pelo ya ka ntse otla ka pele e hana ho kokobela. Ke sala ke totomela, ke tatetse ho fihla lapeng e kare nka utlwisisa hore na ho bolokehile ho kae ho ba mosadi. Empa ka ha moloi ha mele ditshiba, re phela ka matswalo ha re sa tshepa batho ba batona kaofela ha bona e ka nonyana tsa sibaleleleng ho sa tsoteletsehe hore na ke ntatao, malomao, mohlankana kapa moenao. Kaofela ha bona re ba beha sekaleng se le seng hobane ha re tsebe hore na ya tlang ka maikemisetso a matle re tla mmona ka eng. Ha o le mosadi o madimabe, ke re ha o le mosadi o madimabe o phela ka tshabo ka baka la tlhekefetso ya motabo. Bosiu o robala o tonne ihlo le le leng e se re mohlomong o se roballe ruri. Ana ke yona tsela e nepahetseng e ya hore mosadi ya phele. Ke re na bontate a ke lebeng le bopelo hlomohi le be le mohau. Re a kgalla ho phela le rona empa e seng ka meokgo. Ha re batle ho siya bana ba rona e le dikgutsana ka baka la matsoho a lona a soto. Re ikokobeditse, re hlabile ka mangole fatshe, re re marumo fatshe bontate hobane ha ona moo ho bolokehileng teng ho ba mosadi.
Moshapele matsoho. Ke Osfei community reported serious crimes, top 30 stations in the country. Unfortunately, Back Road, sitting at number 12, Mangaung District, Free State Province. In April 2021, case reported 1,782. In April 2022 to June 2022, 1,900. In April 2025 to June 2025, 1,150. When you count the difference, it's minus 118 from 2024. It's a point of concern. It cannot be correct. Not in my name. Khanakanna. Sarame Siditi, are you ready? Are you ready, Abuti Sarame? Sarame Siditi, Kiamong Wadibini Saruna Kwano Presidency, Akayang Kamonaka Tabanchu. Let's malonalere. Men, women, boys and girls working together to end GBV. Africa Bura, re monna fola. Monna fola. Mehe ka jonela na real boa. Hari kopano kwano. Khele bontate ba province. Re a dumela hore mohlomong taba ena ebile re ka ifetola fela ke re etse the G9 province engwe le ngwe provincially ba be le the men's Indaba ebe he rona kwano Bloemfontein tla re ikwala he re etsa the national Indaba bontate le reng le tshala monwana ke se ke lahletse he kantorong ye kgolo ya mo primary hore re tla ba le the G9 kamara hore re tshware a very successful G20. It is good to live in South Africa. A country to be. Serame Siditi, Serame Kawena, Hopolari Serequano, Limo, Green Village. Oh, yes.
We're sleeping on the cold streets. We're living on the broken dreams. Keep us warm under your wings. We are the chosen people. But the skin covering a body can make curse to a people. Too many people die with the hope to live again. Take away your pain and give us a better tomorrow for our King. Can you hear me calling? Can you hear me calling now? Can you hear me calling? Can you hear me calling? Chaba sahau sepela mataka beti. Banna ba fetwile dirai. Baradi bahau Jehova, babolawa ki baratua. Baswarele Jehova, ubani habatsibi, si ubasiesa kirena. Banali angkutona. mosadi a la fifila bosiu a jarile ngwanana banna ba lefatshe lena na le hodisitswe ke bo mang na go bane fatshe lena ke la rona kaofela hlokomelang bomme Kirina langudwana Amusadi Allah Lingwana wale siyantatele Akorudwele chama sena bushuko Jehova Fatuila dira Hakejwa lana Kirena
Chapelle Masoho.
Ne ke kopa fela ho bina ena ya ho qetela ena e lebisitswe hona nna ke hodisitswe ke single mother so hona le bana ba le banketsweng bomma bona ka baka la abuse ke kopa le mamele ne I hope let I enjoy kopa le thuseng ka di Everything I know, I learn it from you. You carry my mother on your back. You also carry me on your back. I'm grateful for the man that I am. I know I wouldn't be anything without you. 'Cause all the memories are written in my heart that will never be read, 'cause they're written with love. And all the places that we ever been to, I keep calling your name, thinking that you'll never show up. Oh, it hurts so bad to live my life without you. Now I'm living on to this memory. Lerato le umpileng lona ma Lifita ohle ke a bone Dikgapa tsa ho se solohetse mona Dinkenze mona yo killing yena And all the memories are written in my heart They will never be right 'cause they're written with love Places that we never been to I keep calling your name Thinking that you'll never show up Oh, it hurts so bad to live my life without you. Now I'm holding on to this memory. I'm holding on. 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 Cause all the memories keep calling your name, thinking that you left so. Oh, it hurts so bad to live my life without you. Now I'm holding on to this memories. Galez-vous Blanfante. Thank you so much.
Chapela Mr. Siramele. Masoho! What a talent. What a talent. Kana kwa batho ba ba re down and out. But I'm saying what a comeback. The son of the soil. Mr. Kosa, are you ready? Are you ready, Mr. Kosa? Na kwa rona ya hore re tlo fumana puo ka Presidency ntse atamela. Me the formal program e tla tsamaiswa ke the MEC Ntate Balula. Na kwa rona ntse atamela. Are you ready, Mr. Kosa? Are you ready? I'm waiting for you, Mr. Mr. Kosa, ushapela masoho.
Tito bawo, o bawo, enana tiko sawako. Tito bawo, enana tiko bawo, enana tiko bawo, enana tiko musawa, tiko bawo. Oh,
a re tshwara ha monate ntate Khoza, a re tshwara ha monate ntate Khoza. Afrika Borwa, Freistata, re utulla talente. Re utulla talente re le Provincial Freistata. O tlo e utlwe. Re tlo le bitsetsa o nthatile. Re tlo le bitsetsa o nthatile. Ke ngwana sekolo o tlo mo utlwe. Ka ba ka hopola le busu kgobela a re o nthatile le nna. O nthatile re eme ka wena ngwanaka. Me re tlo fa MEC Mbalula o tla tsamaisa program. Re ke le hopotsa fela hae hore bo mme le bontate ka letsohong la rona le letona ka mona di pollution di teng ka nqane di toilet ha o tswa fela o tla kopana le tsona ka mane le tsona o ska lebala di na le ha o tswa le ka tsole le tshadi di ntse di teng le ka hona ka mane. Me he re metse o nthathile jale re betsa makalangwana ha ntse re metse o nthathile biki o hantle ntate ha ngwanaka a ntse a itukisa mona ke eme pela the South African national flag e nang le mebala e tsheletseng. The red stand for the blood of the people who died for freedom. Batho ba ileng ba shwella tokolo ya Afrika Borwa. Re theohe re be le mmala mosweu o representang the peace. Afrika Borwa ke naha e tsetlalelang kgotso. Ka ba ka hopola ka bo 1991, 1992. Ha re ne re bina South Africa we love you, our beautiful land. Re be le mmala o mong hape o motala o bontshang all right. Jala re tlisa. Ke kopa fela motsotsong ona there are two parolees ba tlisitsweng kwano ba kopua ka tswetse hore ba the staging hona jwale as in now hobane na in the next 10 seconds I'm handing over the reins ba teng kwano ba hlophisitsweng. That's why re kopa le atamele ascend the stage as in now. Yaka is clicking. I'm about to hand over the reins for the formal program to my MEC, Ntate Mbalula.
Dumelang. Goeiedag. Hantle ka nako ya 1:30. Ke tla kopa fela pele ke kena ditabeng. Na I'm not going to compete le MEC Makume. Ke bone una fa baruti tough time mo. A kena therong e matla. Ke tlo etsa ntwe ke kopueng ke etse. Ya o tsamaisa lenane tsamaiso lena la kajeno o lefa fela preview ya ka pelenyana hore program ya rona e tlo tsamaya jwang. Ntho ya pele fela e tlo etsala gore re tlo ba le police brass band, o re thusa ka national anthem, immediately ka mora moo re be le thapelo, ka moruti, ho latele opening and welcome address, re na le matuna ka hare ho rona moo, ba tla bang le karolo le bona in our program. Moprimiri o tla latela ka mora a re se re butse hantle, and then women's sector ke bitsa tjena hore batho ba eleng hore ba tlo tlameha ba tle moo ba tle ba itukise. Not in my name pledges by men's sector, messages of support, hara di bui mono e tlo ba letona la rona la constitutional development and justice, letona me Mamoloko Kubai, a tla latelwa ke GBV survivors, ntate Archie Pinit o tla ba le slot in the program, a tla latelwa ke Puleng March, Professor Motsamai Molefe le yena o tlo kenella mona lenaneng tsamaiso lena, and then re be le reflections on the national response to GBVF and introduction of the president. Ke lenaneng tsamaiso la rona leno le eme ka mokgwa ko. Empaneng a ke qala fela pele re kena ho national anthem, I want to say that I think the message of government, what I see in this room is unity, is strength, is power. Tse ke dumelang hore if at the end of this event, if that is put in place, jwale re ke qale ditaba ka hore le ho ananela President His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa a tla ba le rona e se kgale, moprimiri wa rona, di ministera tsa rona tse teng kwano, members of the Executive Council, executive mayors, traditional and faith leaders, representatives of higher learning institutions, sena le rona kwano, civil society and community. Ntumeleng he a ke qala ke re a re qala ditaba tsa rona mo ke qale ka mantswe a bohlokwa a leng a bua ke Angela Davis a ileng a bua le rona ka mantswe a latelang hore there is no more neutrality in the face of violence. Silence itself becomes a weapon in the hands of the oppressor. Today, sebakeng sena se re leng ho sona, re kopane mona not just to host another program or event, empa re kopane mona to confront one of the deepest wounds in our democracy, which is gender-based violence and femicide, which has proven to be a pandemic for our country, and silence is not an option. This man's Indaba takes place, but for far too many families, GBVF is not a 16-day campaign, but it is a daily emergency, a constant terror, a shadow that refuses to lift. GBV is basic and state-sanctioned, hidden behind prisons, police brutality, and patriarchal laws. Even post-violence has persisted, mutating and growing in its brutality. Professor Phumla Kola, one of the South Africa's leading gender-based violence and femicide scholars, o buile le rona ka mantswe a latelang hore rape is not merely an event, it is a language, it is a systemic instrument of patriarchal power. And today, as we open this men's Indaba, we are not simply hosting an event, but we are challenging is a myth we must not dilute. In the words of bell hooks, patriarchy has no gender, but men must be first defenders. If we as men do not lead the rebellion against violence, then who must? If not here, if not now, if not us, then who? Today we need to declare collectively that not in my name. Can we say it, all of us, aholo bontate, not in my name. Not in my name. Ke a leboha bomme le bontate. May we all stand and welcome, as we formally open the session, welcome SAPS brass band to lead us in the national anthem. Thank you. Tse pedi e bang di teng ka tlung ka moo di kopanye le mme a ntse a eme pela ka moo ka potlako. Ke a leboha. Police brass band. Re a leboha Police brass band ka lehlaso leno. Moruti Reverend Mutanzi Magele, please ascend the stage. Ke sa etsa kgoeletso hape batho ba ne ba ikitseng ba kopua ke ausiana eme pela ka moo re kopa ba iponahatse ke ane mo a emeng motsheo mane. Tate Moruti.
Ke rata ho leboha motsamaisi wa mosebetsi Ntate Jabu Mbalula. Honorable Premier, let me take this opportunity and align myself ka ditumediso tseo a di fetisitseng ntle le tshenyo ya nako. Lentswe la Modimo le sa etseng diphoso. Modimo o beile lentswe la ona bukeng ya bobedi ya Samuele kgaolo ya 12 temana ya bosupa. Nathane a re ho Dafita, motho eo ke wena. Jehova Modimo wa Israele o re nkile ka o tlotsa hore o be morena wa Israele. Ke bile ka o namoletse matsong a Saule. Lena ke lentswe la Modimo a molomo le dipounama tsaka. A leleme la ka le fumane taolo hodima moya o halalelang ho le tlisa le phela mme le kgutlelentse mosebetsi ka Kriste morena. Amen. Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man." Bothata ba Dafita Boqala marulelong a Palesi. Mo abohang Betesheba ya tolang ka hara ntlo e lefellwang ke monna wa hae. Bothata ba ho sheba haholo ha o le nakong eo lo phedisa hloho ka yona. Jwalo ka ntate ha o boha motho wa mme, mme mahlo a hao a sa tlameha ho ba mo a tlamehang a be teng. Bonyane di-second kapa metsotswana e mehlano e lekane. Ha o sa kgutlise hloho, bothata bo tla ba teng. Ditlamorao tsa ketsahalo ena ya ho sheba di isa moo Dafita a sebedisang matla a hae hampe. Mme ke rata hore metsotswana ena eo ke e fuweng ke bue ka motho ya sebedisang matla a hae hampe. Abuse of power from the abuser. Dafita o re Betesheba a tliswe ho yena, e leng kgato ya pele ya ho sebedisa matla a hae hampe. Ke thobalanong ena eo a bileng le yona le Betesheba, moo ka mora dibeke tse pedi Betesheba a romelang molaetsa, tseba hore ke mmeleng. Bothata ba Dafita ba qala ya ba loa leano la ho bitsa Oria moleng wa ntwa moo a leng teng. Ha fitla Palaising ka theke ya VVIP, a mengwe le moeti ka hara ntlo. O fumana ka mora VVIP ena ho dutse leano leo a le loetsweng. Dafita o mo fotka jwala, maikemisetso ke hore a tla moalong wa molekane wa hae, moo a tla fihla moraela bolo e korilweng ke yena. Motho eo ke wena. Ka lebaka la di-morals tse o nang le tsona, Uria o hana ho etsa sena. Mme bothata ba bobedi ba Dafita bo a qala. O romela Uria a kgutlele ntweng, o loa leano la bobedi, o re a bewe ka pele moleng wa ntwa moo lerumo le tla mo fumana teng. Motho eo ke wena. Ke moleng ona wa ntwa moo Uria a lahlelwang ke bophelo ba hae, mosadi wa hae wa mo ilela. Dafita o nkela Betesheba mme o nka mosadi enwa e le mosadi wa hae jwale, e se mosadi wa monna e mong. Motho eo ke wena. Moo re badileng teng metsotso e meraro e setseng, e re ke o hlalosetse ka nako eo Nathane a romelwang ke Modimo ho yena ho ya ntsha sena se ka hare ho yena. O mo qoqela pale ya monna enwa ya neng a sebedisa matla a hae hampe, mme o re motho eo ke wena. Ntumelle ntate, letsholo lena le ho lokisa motho wa ntate, ke re the man is you. Motho eo ke wena ya ka fetolang bophelo ba monna e mong. Bohle re ba hloka bo Nathane ba ka fetolang maphelo a rona. Bohle re ba hloka bo Nathane ba ka re bolella nnete. Bohle re ba hloka bo Nathane ba ka dula nneteng, ba re bolella hore monna heso seo se etsang ke phoso. Nathane ke karabo ya Modimo ho Dafita ka sebe seo a se entseng. Nathane ke ka moo Modimo o arabelang bobe bo Dafita a bo entseng. Hantlentle Nathane bophelong ke motho enwa eo Modimo o mo romelang ho wena ho bolella sefahla mahlo a sa lobe letho bobe bo bo entseng. Nathane bontate ke monna ya sebete tsa ho phaphatha lehetleng, mme o bolelle se tshabe letho hore mona o fositse. Nathane ke motswalle yane wa hao wa hlooho ya kgomo ya tla o hulela ka thoko a sa o kenye mahlo a o bolelle phoso tsa hao. Nathane ke motho ya o ratang yeo e reng ha a bone phoso wena kapa a utlwetse ka bobe ba hao le tseo di entseng a be le sebete sa o bolella hore o entse phoso. Nathane ke motswalle wa sebele ya tla o beha ka pela seipone sa bophelo hore o itjhebe bobeng bo bo entseng bofokoding ba hao ntle le ho ba moahlodi wa hao. Nathane ke motho ya tla fetola bophelo ba hao. We all need our Nathans ka hara bophelo bona bohle re a ba hloka bona tsebo ya seo sebe seo a se entseng ho motho e mong se leng sona ke ka ho a iphumanang pesalemeng ya pele temaneng ya pele a re o ntate a sa emeng tseleng tsa baetsadibe. Yo motho ke yo modimo o ka reng wena wa mo lemosa hobane ha dule mokgatlong wa basomi. Ntumelle ke katele motsamaisi wa mosebetsi ha mohau wa ka tsela e sa lokang hobane ha modimo o nyolla e ba re tla lebella kgolo ho tswa ho wena. Ha modimo o nyolla ha modimo o fa maemo e re ke hopotse hore o a le ho ratana ha bohloko ha o wa o le morena ho feta ha o ratana o le modisa hobane ha o le morena di-television di tla covera dikoranta di tla covera ha o le hore Nathane a mo hopotse haro hoba haeba o ne o batla se fetang moo e ka be o ile wa kopa modimo e ka be o ile wa o fa se ka inkela ka mohau moo modimo e ka be a o file ka jeno haeba o tshepile matla a hao ntate hopola matla hodimo o fueleng ona ke a o sireletsa ha se a o hlekefetsa. Ho na le batho ba sa tlo ba le bonathane ka hara bophelo ba bona hobane hang ha Nathane a kena o re ke tseba tsohle o ke ke wa mpolella letho. Nathane ha a qeta ho qoqela Dafita ha ke theoha sefalana sena a re motho eo ke wena wa mo tiisetsa eo ke e fang yona le wena ntate ka jeno ke hore modimo o tshwaretse se o tshwanelang ho se etsa ke hore wena fela o fetohe le haeba motho eo ke wena le haeba leqeba le santsane le le teng e re ke o kgodise. Just proclaim the confession ya hao e utlwahale mme modimo o tla o tshwarela maobane ka jeno le ka hosane ha e dule le morena. Amen.
Re lebohe moruti Magele ka mantswe ano a matla. Kgetlong lena ntumelleng ke bitsetse on stage Executive Mayor of Mangaung Tate Gregory Ntatisi o tlo tlamolla dintja le hore amohele. Ke a leboha. Ke monga sebaka a re mo opele matsoho re kgone a re tshware hantle.
Ntate Mbalula ke a leboha ke batla ho nyoloha ka protocolo e se le teng bitsong la hore o santsane o tla re manollela yona. Batswadi ba ka pele re tla mona re fitile botshabelo ka tlasa ketapele e matla ya mme Mamoloko Kuba e rilo sebetsana le ho hlomamisa e nngwe ya dikhoto tse hlokomeleng tse shebaneng le mathata na re kopaneng ka ona kasheko. Ha re le moketeng o e leng hore was under this able, capable, willing and able leader, versatile and the well-informed, brought in a number of individuals who took the stage and critical questions were asked. I want to piggyback on the question that was asked by the Premier, and I've consulted to say it will be wiser to convey the message we did there, because the actual culprits are here in their numbers as men. Now, in that occasion, based on a critical question that was asked by the Premier, what have we done as women to you men? We had to navigate an answer. Coming into this hall, I came across a union of teachers, SATU to be specific, who asked me a critical question. In this occasion, are we going to be allowed to engage? My answer was no. But I will convey the message that we must create a platform where we must engage extensively on the subject matter. This is the message. We made a thumbsuck analysis, and I mean thumbsuck on the basis of statistics, that 5% of us as men, even those that are sitting here, are psychopathic in nature. Yes, the only way to convey our message is through aggression and bashing and beating to a point of killing. We make a very small number, but we are there. We are there. We sometimes even fail to communicate our feelings and our hopes and understanding. The only best way of doing it is physical. But then we also made an observation that the majority of us sitting here may not be physically abusive, but are emotionally abusive. Very emotional, demeaning and undermining women. Who are you? If I knew you are like this, I wouldn't have been next to you. What did they teach you at your home? Why do you talk without even asking your permission? All those nonsensical, attitudinal, behavioral patterns that are acquired by far better than you and resource driving in your vicinity. Then there is a last number, Merkubai. That number is very limited. We call them advanced men. They may make a very small portion of this community I'm talking about. Those are the ones we cannot do without. When you have to achieve in your own right as a woman, he is always giving you a pat at the back. If you say, I want to buy a car, he doesn't say why. He says, if the money is there, why not? Such men are limited in the market. They are almost all taken, but they are there. They are there. Now we are conveying this message deliberately to say it's about time that we must be this advanced men. To you ladies, good things come to those who work for it. Don't wait. Don't wait. Turn this animal into a human being. It's your job, it's your fiduciary duty. Work on them. When I close in that Jabu, I want to put it this way. Hamuruti ana abuaka marriage and the celebration. I picked up one knowledge economy out of that. Upbringing. There are 3 stages of upbringing. The first one is called internal. When in your internal surrounding, you are surrounded by a very vicious family that does not respect what happened next door. They've bought a car, as and when we have money, we'll buy a better one. Imbuing that to the child. That child grows having that tendency of jealousy. The second part of upbringing is external influence. When you allow children to mingle with those that were not properly brought up, that child gets to be out of bounds. You can go to school. You can be however acquired, even if at the point of a doctor or a professor. When your base upbringing is wrong, you will always be like the many men that we are mentioning. Those that are abusive are driven by 5 factors we mentioned in Butsabe. Being the culture, which we want to treat it as static when culture is evolving, inclination, and the pattern of life. If those things would be subjected to what Sadhu requested, I think we can come out better. So I'm going to then, Mema Queen, put before you that meeting of minds where we must begin to work very hard to answer to your question, why us, must be subjected to an intense discussion where all of us must begin to shape ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, leaders of our country, I want to say to you, this is Mangawu, a place of miracles, where this democracy that we are enjoying was born. We are a peaceful metro, but a metro that must always determine the destination of the country. Because if we fail our fiduciary duty, the democracy, which came out of the embryo of this metro, might be lost. We'll play our role, but we would like to welcome all of you and say, please, be part of this occasion. We are not going to even invite you to any other event except this one. Pay attention, learn, and for those that are untransformed, it's your time today. Thank you very much.
Re a leboha Tate Majoro ka kamoelo eo e matla e kenyeleditseng le hore re utlwisise ukubana unobangela wezinye zezinto iyetswa ke eng kapa sesosa sa ntho tsena tse nyarosang tse re di bonang setjhabeng hore hantlentle di hlolwa ke eng mo re phelang. Ke tlo leka ho etsa tjena ebang ke tla tlameha ke etse mosebetsi wa ka ho tloha qalong fihlella mafelelong ke ananele boteng ba batho bongweng ba bona mekgatlong ya bona kaofela ba ke sebetsang le bona mo ba ntse ba nthusa hore ke fumane lenane la hore hantlentle ke mang a teng kwana bana ba ka pele matona le deputy ministers ke ba ke ba tsebang ke tla ne ke ba qolle ka bongwe ba bona ni bulise nje ngophakama re na le letona la constitutional development and justice ya tla bua le rona ha program e ntse tswella pele mme mamoloko kubai ha o ka ema fela mme wa ka o re be le letona in the presidency for women, youth, persons with disability, Sindisiwe Chikunga. Di tlatsi tsena di a ntshwenya ke kopa re ke re be mafolofolo hanyane re be le letona kapa motlatsi wa letona la tsa sepolesa Ntate Castle Mathala ya ka le wa utlwa jwale ntse tla hantle re be le letona kantorong ya mo presidente Ntate Seiso Mohai a ikarabelang o tsa monitoring and evaluation premier ya lona le a tseba ke premier me Queen Letsoa Mathai ke leka ho ba tsebisa hantle ka mokgwa ke utlwisisang protocol ka teng ke ska ka ja mosebetsi re be le speaker sa lekgotla la ketsamolao Ntate Xolisi Dukwana pela hae mane re be le mme Dibolelo Mantše a ikarabelang ho tsa infrastructure and public works. Re be le letona mme ke rate na o ba bitsa ka tseo ba di fihletseng hantle bophelong, batho ba bang ba rata ho ba modest ka tsona, ke Dr. Mamiki Maboya, ke letona la tsa thuto. Ke be le setho sa lekgotla la ketsamolao la Freistata, mme Nthabiseng Kgaureko. Ke be le letona la tsa bonono, dipapadi, le tsa botho, tsa setso, mme all right. Ke letona la rona mme Sefuba. Pela hae ke na le letona la tsa social development mme Hlalele, ha o ka ema. Pela hae ke letona la tsa temo, and environmental affairs and rural development mme Sabi Rockman. Pela hae ke be le letona le ikarabelang ho tsa local government and human settlement, Ntate Mokoena. Pela hae ke be le letona la tsa bophelo bo botle, Ntate Mahlatsi. Ke be le setho sa lekgotla la ketsamolao, Ntate Meku. Bona kapa ka mekgahlelo kaofela ha yona. Se re fumane kamohelo e mofuthu ka majoro, tumelleng kgetlong lena ke bitsetse ka pele mopremiri wa Freistata. Ya, bang correcta mo. Kamora opening prayer. Ne tlamehile le ra ema ka maoto, re be le moment of silence. Ke tla kopa re etse ka pelenyana pele mopremiri a tla o tlo fana ka puo ya hae. A re emeng ka maoto, re be le moment of silence ka lebo. Ka dula fatshe. It is my singular honor to call on stage Premier to make your address. Kopa le mo emise ka ditlatse. Ke mme wa province le yena o tla re tshwara hampe a re sa mo tshware hantle. Le hlolwa ke matona a eme ka maoto ona mo. A re emeng.
Re ke lebohe re ka dula fatshe. Ne se ke re ba sa mpinele Ntate Mbalula. Re tla tsamaya re sa ja. A ke re ke nna monga mokete. A ke re batho. Re ke lebohe motsamaiso wa mosebetsi. Ka ntle le ho senya nako ke ise hlompho mo presidente. Le pele a fihla ke ise hlompho the ministers and deputy ministers present here today. Speaker of the legislature, Tate Jukwan, members of the executive council, Majoro wa rona, and Tate Sebetsa Kenta, local government sphere, representatives for women, men's, LGBTQIA, disability, sports, creative and faith-based organizations, haholo Ki se hlompho GBVF, survivors and advocates. Ki hlomphe bohle ba leng teng mona basebeletsi ba mmuso, acting DG, le basebetsi to you for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us today. Skala makala kere ne tshwantse ke etse molaetsa o president a le teng. So o tla o mamela maleng teng. We truly appreciate your presence today. Indeed, a clear demonstration of your commitment to fighting the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide, which is now correctly labeled as a pandemic and has been classified as a national disaster. Let us acknowledge the significance of today's proceedings. Earlier this morning, jwalo ka Ntate Mbalula a hlalositse re tswa bula Sexual Offences Court, jwalo ka Majoro a hlalositse, my apologies, in Botshabelo, a concrete step towards justice for survivors. As a provincial government, we express our gratitude to Minister Kubai and her department for opening such an important facility. This will ensure that the processing of sexual offences cases happens faster. Ra leboha Mme Mamoloko. Mme ke lebohe, ke isa diteboho tse special ho wena. Ke la ka o kopa ho tloha last year qala ho kopana cabinet lekgotla hore Mme Mamoloko o tlo tshwanela hore 16 days o tle mona Free State re tla o etsetsa mohlolo. Ke a kgola o bona ka C. This afternoon, we carry under the banner, not in my name, a powerful declaration that violence against women and children must no longer be committed in silence or with complicity. Fellow Free Staters, our province carries the scars of gender-based violence and femicide. Our statistics tells a story of a need for agency. When we examine the trajectory of sexual offenses over the past 5 years, the picture is sobering. Ke kgola ra tseba kaofela ma Free State hore e sale dipalopalo di sa re behe hantle ka taba tsena tsa tlhekefetso ya bomme le bana. In the first quarter of 2021, rape cases were recorded at 572. Ka 2022, tsa ya tlase hanyane tsa re fa 553. Empa tsa nyoloha hape ka 2023 to 596, 2024 tsa ya 613. That while there's been some fluctuation, the numbers remain stubbornly high with no sustained downward trend. Sexual assault follow a similar pattern. Ka 2021, 120 cases were reported, dropping to 104 ka 2022, rising again to 116 in 2023, and then falling to 106 in 2024. By 2025, the figure had dropped further to 86. This decline is encouraging, but it must be treated with. In 2021, 50 cases were recorded. That number fell sharply to 21 in 2022, rose again to 44 in 2023, and 47 in 2024. In 2025, however, the figure dropped to 35. While this appears to be progress, the vitality of these numbers remains with us that prevention efforts must be strengthened. Contact sexual offenses have remained relatively stable, from 25 cases in 21 to 30 in 22, down to 18 in 2023, then 24 in 2024, and holding steady at 24 in 2025. Turning to the second quarter figures, rape cases rose from 607 in 2021, slightly to 17 in 2022, to 121 in 2025. Attempted sexual offenses were 31 in 2021, 28 in 2022, 40 in 2023, 39 in 2024, and then surged to 59 in 2025. Contact sexual offenses, modest decline. Rape and sexual requires a whole. These numbers demand that we act. Gender-based violence remains widespread across all 5 districts, affecting women, children, LGBTQIA+, individuals, persons with disabilities, and migrant communities. Domestic violence and intimate partner violence remain among the top reported offenses in many police stations, particularly Mangaung, girls under 18, highlighting a persistent pattern of intergenerational trauma and household vulnerability. However, harmful social norms of violence. Despite interventions, community levels awareness, early reporting and prevention remain inconsistent, especially in rural areas and farming communities. This pattern reflects the national challenge captured in the National Strategic Plan on GBV, which reminds us that the fight cannot be won by government alone. Ke ka hona re lebitsitse mona tsatsing lena hore a re tlo kopanyang matsoho re lwantshe ntwa ena e kana-kana. Ha re bua tsatsing le re we have had enough. Re utlwile majoro re le bomme. Our government cannot fight this alone. Each one of us, men in particular, needs to stand up and declare, not in the Free State, not on our watch. Ke kopa re ke re bueng hore e seng mona Free State hle ba kgaisho, e seng rona re shebelletse. And my promise is clear with the team that I'm working with in this 7th administration. We'll make this province the hardest place in South Africa to commit any form of GBVF and the safest place to raise our families. And the fight starts today. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, allow me to illustrate the unfortunate human cost of GBVF in our province. On the 23rd of November, re ile ra fumana tlaleho ya hore ho na le ngwana nyametseng e leng Katleho wa 3 years from Glen, a small community e seng hole le mona Bloemfontein. Ka bomadimabe 2 days ka mora moo re ile ra thola setopo sa Katleho se ile sa fumanwa mane dihlaheng hona moo Glen. Mme re ile ra dumela mo le bomaponesa hore o shebahala a ile a betwa ngwaneno wa 3 years. Sa bohloko ke hore a close relative, a male relative, ke ena a tshwerweng mabapi le case ena ya Katleho. But that is not where the story ends. A few weeks later, Katleho's 5-year-old cousin, Onkarabetsi, le ena o ile a nyamela. And o nyamela re qeta ho boloka Katleho. Mme lefu la Katleho ne ke ile le MEC Rockman hobane ke e nngwe ya di-area tsa mo a sebeletsang teng. Re ile ra ikopela ho ba lelapa, ra ikopela ho bohle hore re kopa ho be le kgutso. Empa Katleho ha sa nyametse, Onkarabetse ha nyametse hobane Katleho se re mo bolokile, le yena a fumana a bolailwe. Mme mobelaelwa ke mme wa Katleho. Mme re bone hore ho na le moya, haebe ke yena, ho na le moya mohlomong wa boiphetetso. Ka tsona di 23 tsa November, Qwaqwa man, mme o rescued a 46-year-old, a ileng a raipua a ba lahlelwa ka metsing. Mme mobelaelwa ke taxi driver. Mme tsena tsohle ke dintho tse leng hore di re utlwisitse bohloko haholo. Re tswa Ward 46, mme o tshetswe ka petrolo, o tjhisitswe, o na patwa ka Labone. Lesego o bolailwe ke motho a na phela le yena, setopo sa hae sa tholwa ke ngwana bona 7 years. Mme ka hona re batla hore ho lekane, rona re kgathetse ko bua, re bontate buang, le re jwetse re entseng. Ke a leboha.
Re a leboha Premier ka molaetsa o matla. Ha jwale re tlo tsamaya ka mokgwa ke ona. Ke tlo bitsetsa ka pele letona la rona mme Kubai. Immediately ka mora moo re tla ba le video e re tla e sheba mo. Kopa le mo emise ka ditlatse ha tla staging.
Okay. Ke a leboha Program Director, MEC wa rona wa maponesa le tsa ditsela le tsa transport, MEC Mbalula. Ke dumedise mo President jaaka sa tla kena, mo Premier wa rona mme Makwini, Minister Chikunga, Speaker of the Free State Legislature, Ntate Dukwane, TM Matali le TM Mohai, MECs, mayors, MPs, MPLs, councillors, women sectors that are working on gender-based violence, bontate ba emeng ba lwantshana le tlhekefatso ya bomme le bana, baruti ba rona ba ntseng ba re rapella gore tlhokwana e leng teng ya go tlhekefatswa ha bana le basadi ha e fele ka hara naha ya rona. Ke eme mo ke le letona, ke eme on behalf of the JCPS cluster as well, because re bereka ka tsela e lo reng e kopane re a berekisana gore re tle re kgone ho lwantshana le bothata bo re bo shebaneng le bona. We do feel, Program Director, that the men's dialogue is quite critical, but most critical, it's the declaration that is saying not in our name. Many of us continue to say government cannot work alone. Government cannot fulfill all the responsibilities and cannot stop gender-based violence unless the perpetrators, unless those who are the ones who are committing this heinous crime stop. Men are raping women, men are raping children. But we are seeing some of the trends that are starting where women are violating young boys. We have to stand as a society and say it is enough. As the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, I want to say, is it my time up? Oh. As Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, together with the department, this morning we went to launch the Sexual Offences Court, but also donating toys and books as part of our charity drive as the department, one toy, one book, one future. For our children who are survivors, most of them come to our courts to testify about what has happened to them, and many of them never recover. We've got to put this because the system will try its best to fix, but we must stop because these children are affected for life. When a child is raped, the pain is seen when they appear in court, and they have to point at a person who has violated them being somebody that they know majority of the time. The support, the counseling that they are expected to receive, but the painful reality, even those that are killed, majority of them are killed by those who are close to them. In many instances as well, those who had claimed to love them. Now, I want to say that it becomes difficult. We can put sexual offences courts to support these girls, these children. We can open Tutuzela centers, as we have been doing, which are currently in this financial year, we are extending their footprint across the country. The sexual offenses, we are opening about 16 this year, and 40 of our courts are being upgraded to ensure that they are sensitive to our victims. But this is not enough because we've got to stop it from happening. What we currently have is a mechanism to intervene as a response. What we believe is sustainable buntate ba rona ka mona, ke a buntate ba ka tlohela ho hlekefatsa bana. Se re tshepang hore se tla protecta naha ya rona ke ha o ka tlohelwa ho hlekefatswa bomme ba rona. What we have done as the department, we have also introduced that protection orders must be issued within 24 hours of the time it has been applied. We are recognizing that many women die after they have applied for protection order. We would want to protect these women, that's why they change that 24 hours, and it can be done electronically. Because sometimes we have difficulties that a protection order has been issued but it's not served. And I was saying, Buntate, leo ka tshaba, re tla o serva yona le ka WhatsApp going forward. Ha o sa tle ho di-court tsa rona, ha re o bona o le ko Facebook, re tla e beya ko We have to take a no-nonsense approach in dealing with gender-based violence. Ke sa tlo nka nako, ke rata ho bua melao le melaonyana ho tjhentjhitswe Prevention and Combating of Hate Crimes of 2023, it's in force. Domestic Violence Act has been changed. Criminal law, sexual offenses and related matters have been changed. Criminal and related matters amendments as well, 2021 has been changed. What we are currently working on is the first legislation, Criminal Procedure Act, where women across the country have requested that there must be no bail for sexual offenders. We are working for this law to be changed so that the bail condition for sexual violence changes in our courts. We are looking at introducing this in the next year as the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. The second legislation that we are changing to intervene is the one that relates to the register of sexual offenses. We want hore batho ba hlekefetsang bana ba tsibiwe ke setjhaba, ba ska tsibiwa ke mmeku ba e fela. We are amending the legislation to remove the confidentiality clause. I've been threatened to be taken to court. Ba ntshepisa hore ba tla nkisa court hobane ha ba batle re tlose confidentiality. We are saying bring it on. Because gore batho ba tlohele ho rape bana ba rona le bomme ba rona ba bolaya batho basadi. Swanzo re release this sexual offenses register so that ba tle ba tlohele. So ha ebe le ha o so ka o simolla o se yo ka ra register e tla o tlohele o ska simolla ka re setjhaba se tlo tseba hore ko wena mo hlekifatsi. Se re se etsang hona jwale ka sexual register, re ntsha di-certificate ho ba ba sebetsang ka bana le ba sebetsang ko di-NGO. Hore ha ba sebetsa le bana ba rona, re tsebe re le setjhaba. Motho o sebetsang ko crash, motho o sebetsang ko sekolo, ba bangata ba rona re ko di-SGB. Ha re kopeng di-certificate tsa ho bontsha hore they have not sexually violated anyone. You have that right as an SGP, you have that right as a parent. And that is in the SGP or matishere kaofela berekang le bana. Ha ba bontshe di-certificate tsa bona hore ka nnete ba loketse ho bereka le bana. Ba leng kare di-NGO ba tseba le bona. Mmuso ha o patale di-NGO, ha ebe di-NGO di na le batho ba ile reng ha bana di-sexual register certificate tse bontsha hore ha ba ko sexual register. Re ikemiseditse ho sebetsa re tswele pele re le mmuso re ntse re sebedisana le lona. Ha ke tlo dula fatshe ke rata hore ho lona mmuso o le one o kekebe wa e lwantsha gender-based violence. Bomme ba rona ha re laya bana re ska ba bolella hore lebitla la mosadi ke bohadi. It's not correct because they die in that and killed by the men. So let's work together in our churches, in our communities to stop gender-based violence. We welcome this initiative by Premier and fully support and thank you very much. Malibo
Thank you very much, Minister. I think it's quite very clear that government is not only talking, but does what it is supposed to do to try and change the situation for the better. I think the reforms that you are telling us about that are going to happen. At this moment, we will view a video, after which we will proceed with the rest of the program, as I did announce earlier before we started. The video, people, are we ready?
Lebitso la ka ke Bingile. Ke lemaditswe ke ex-boyfriend. On the day e lo re ke o nlemaditse ka yona ne ke le at his place.
A magareng ga mojolo le lenyalo o na le shapo ha stata le monate but ya ntse ya nna khona gore ya no ke gagumela ne ke le ngwana ka mogaganyalo. Then Nana
Sapeko was an artist, Lakatella Mobolaile, but he started ka abuse. Physically so, and there are several times where Pesa was stabbed by this lady, to an extent that Pesa went back home and left this lady here.
Phone ena o fitlile a nlahlela ka yona. Be ke ipata mahlo a nhula. Nako nna ke ipatile mahlo phone ena khantsa nkokota ka yona. Nako a tripa nna ke re ke a ema ke re mona ke lo itwanela. Ke kgathetse ke ngwanenwa. So ha ke ema ka utlwa lots of blood coming through. So ya ka et. Ha ke santsane ke re ke alwana ke itwanela ke itse ke alla monno wilang kham. It's like he knew where to press. Inele motho ana le worried just like us. So li ha untso batwa hona thato no kae untsa mbotsa every day hona thato anything like also tholale anything ya ba ke taba ya hore thato o hlokaetse ene o lahletswe ka mining ona o plan tlo and also le boyfriend ya hae o tshwerwe
o tlile motho ona ha fihla yona tshwere docket ya maponesa e bontshang le snepe sa lerato se le teng mo ke letsa se ne qetela ngwana ka lona leo
ga lo bula di case ka di 27 ka di 28 ko mangaung ya missing person maponesa a yentse dipatlisiso tsa bona ba gutlela go bona ka di 3 tsa January ba re hona le mhlala o fumaneileng hore hona le di remains tsa ba di thotseng ko M10 road so ba believe hore ke tsa zibongile ngwana
ngwana so bolawe ka sehlogo a nkile dilemo tse telele le hore o ntsa ba tlo a nkile dilemo tse telele le hore dintho tsena ka fela di ntse di etsala tse bohloko ho yena. There's this thing ya hore batho ba plead guilty then they get lesser sentences.
O fuwe 8 years mare hana a tshwere o ntse ba tloa information ka what happened that day so true ona suspendile a year antsa le ka hare o ntse ba tloa information you feel hore justice mo a ikore a yetswa next le for motho a chisitseng motho fela 8 years motho a deserve o thola 8 years la o chisitse motho
kae mola wa rona wa re feila re le bomme re le bontate ba ba hlekefetsuwang le bana ba ba hlekefetsuwang because ha kore ha re setse re le ka dikhoto ba na le di rights ha ba le ko jail ba na le di rights ba na le free meal ba go bala monate ba kore ba rutuwa mahala.
I wish batho ba yang through GBV ba ka bua mo. I wish re ka stopa ho dipata motho a violent ha change ha tlo change ke motho ebile ha tlo change ke hore na wena o good enough or o leka ho fitlhela kae ha na le sick ya o belwa ke madi o na le yo o tlo ba good for some few minutes Mare, hai fihla nako ya hore the mask is fall, it's going to fall. And who the person that suffers is the one that is already inside.
E ka go go etsahala hore a fumanehe le ha sa ka fumanwa sa sa phele go ba jwale ka bogosofedi nako e telele ka teng ke ya nahana go mateng ha sa phela empa ha nka fumana fela masapo a hae ke yona ntho fela e tla etsa gore ke robale.
Okay, our operators of the video, if we may just start it quickly from the beginning for the benefit of the President. President, we welcome you heartily and warmly. The program has already started. We have proceeded very well since this morning, starting with the men's sector, Indaba, that started at 8 o'clock. There were other activities as well that are linked to this main one that were taking place in Botshabelo, and the other one took place here. So we're proceeding now with the main program, and we welcome you on this note. We are just viewing the video now, which will restart. I think it's not a long one. Thank you.
Lebitso la ka ke Bingile Hloma. Ke dula Melody Virginia. Ke survivor ya GBVF. Ke lemaditswe ke ex-boyfriend. On the day elore ke o lemaditse ka yona ne ke le at his place.
Magareng ga mojolo le lenyalo o na le shapo ha starta le monate but ya ntse ya nna khona gore ya ne ke a garumela ne ke le ngwana ka mogaganyalo then nna ya ka ke sa tsane ke emiswe tswa letsogo jwale.
Pesapheko was an artist, he was a puppeteer. He got married to this lady, Elongore, Ketelonya Dinto, Ola Katella Mobolaile, but he started ka abuse. Physically so, and there are several times where Pesa was stabbed by this lady, to an extent that Pesa went back home and left this lady here.
Phone ena o fitlile a nlahlela ka yona. Be ke ipata mahlo a nhula. Nako nna ke ipatile mahlo phone ena kantsa nkokota ka yona. Nako a tripa nna ke re ke a ema ke re mona ke lo itwanela. Ke kgathetse ke ngwanenwa. So ha ke ema ka ke utlwa lots of blood coming through. So ya ka et. Ha ke santsane ke re ke a lwana ke itwanela ke itse ke a lla mono wilang kham. It's like he knew where to press.
Inele motho ana le worried just like us. So le ha o ntse ba tloa rona Thato no kae o ntse ambotsa every day rona Thato anything like also tholale anything ya ba ke taba ya hore Thato o hlokaetse ene o lahletswe ka mining bona o plan tlo and also le boyfriend ya hae o tshwerwe
o tlile motho ona ha fihla yona tshwede o ke tsa maponesa e bontshang le senepe sa lerato se le teng mo ke letsa se le qetela ngwana ka lona leo
Ga lo bula di case ka di 27 ka di 28 ko Mangaung ya missing person. Maponesa a entse dipatlisiso tsa bona ba gutlela rona ka di 3 tsa January. Ba re hona le mhlala o fumaneileng hore hona le di remains tsa ba di thotseng ko M10 Road. So ba believe hore ke tsa Zibongile ngwana.
Ngwane so bolauwe ka sehloho a nkile dilemo tse telele le hore o ntse ba tloha a nkile dilemo tse telele le hore dintho tsena ka fela di ntse di etsala tse bohloko ho yena. There's this thing ya hore batho ba plead guilty then they get lesser sentences.
o fuwe 8 years mare hana a tshwerwe o ntse ba tloa information ka what happened that day so tjho ona suspendile a year antsa le ka hare ntse ba tloa information you feel hore justice mo a inkore etsuwa. Ha e etsuwa nix le for motho a tjhisitseng motho fela. 8 years motho ha deserve o thola 8 years la o tjhisitse motho.
Kae molao wa rona wa re feila re le bomme re le bontate ba ba hlekefetsuwang le bana ba ba hlekefetsuwang, because ha re setse re le ka dikhoto ba na le di-rights, ha ba le ko jail ba na le di-rights, ba na le free meal, ba robala monate, ba rutiwa mahala.
I wish batho ba yang through GBV ba ka bua more. I wish re ka stopa ho dipata. Motho a violent ha change. Ha tlo change ke motho. Ebile ha tlo change ke hore na wena o good enough or o leka ho fihlella kae. Ha na le sick ya ho belwa ke madi o na le yo. O tlo ba good for some few minutes, mare ha e fihla nako ya hore the mask e fall, it's going to fall, and who the person that suffers is the one that is already inside.
E ka go bo etsahala hore a fumanehe le ha sa ka fumanwa sa phele goba jwale ka bokgotsofedile nako e telele ka teng ke ya nahana go mateng ha sa phela, empa ha nka fumana fela masapo a hae ke yona ntho fela e tla etsa hore ke robale.
Thank you. We'll now go to pledges, and the following speakers are going to come forward. Theodore Rashid Chikuma. Ntate Theodore Chikuma. O tseba haholo ka lebitso la Theo King. Mme ke mosibulli le moetapele mokgatlong o bitswang Central South Africa Men Against GBV. O tla latelwa ke Duncan Leswara, le yena o tswa mokgatlong wa Embrace Diversity Movement South Africa. Mme o tla qetella ditaba tsa bona President ka ho fana ka memorandum o tlamehang ho fihle matsong a hao. Immediately ha qetella ntate Duncan, ke tla kopa Premier at the staging to come and receive it on your behalf. Thank you.
I'm a little nervous. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Premier of the Free State, distinguished dignitaries, leaders, citizens of Bloemfontein, and the greater Heidedal. My name is Theodore Chikuma, and I also go by the name of Theo King. Proudly born in a colored community right here in Bloemfontein in Heidedal, called Opkoms. It's not just my hometown, but it's my heartbeat. I come from a family who serves this nation pre-democracy. My grandfather, the late Juma Chikuma, a businessman who served the Ashbury community, has dreamed of a day when Tate Nelson Mandela would walk free and bring dignity to our people. He taught us we serve not to be seen, but because our people must be seen. And so we served, not for power, not for reward, but because Ubuntu raised us. My late mother would tell me that I would never become rich, but little did she know that serving my people is my wealth. Our work has been acknowledged. It has been documented. It has been recognized nationally, and has been acknowledged by international organizations. Today I stand as the founder and director of Mr. Central South Africa, Men Against Gender-Based Violence, a program that focused on building better men and fighting gender-based violence. But Mr. President, allow me to speak from the ground. Allow me to speak about my community, about Heidedal, a community that raised me, the community that's normally overlooked, yet flooded with drugs, although it has so much potential.
drowned by alcohol abuse, and strangled by unemployment. Despite this, we still go to the voting polls and we make our cross next to the emblem of liberation. We still believe in the vision that Dr. Nelson Mandela has given the world. Yet we remain the most overlooked community in this province. Today in South Africa, every 3 hours, a woman is murdered. Every 4 minutes, a child is sexually arrested. Over 58% of children in the state continues to rank amongst the highest in GBV in our nation. These are not statistics. These are our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our sons. As Mr. Central South Africa, we focus on the root cause. Young men who have lost identity, purpose, and dignity. Because if we do not shape the boy, we will bury the men. We offer mentorships, we offer training, we create belonging through Mr. Central South Africa. So crime and violence cannot fill the gap. Our programs create pathways to jobs, purpose, and transformation. Mr. Central South Africa is a program for young men. Our Premier, our President, we knock on several doors, we ask for assistance. And today again, we reach out and say, please, come hold hands with us as Mr. Central South Africa. Let's build our communities. Let's build the young men in our communities. We are not asking for speeches. We are not asking for slogans. We are asking for collaborations. Action, impact where it's needed most. Because marches makes moments, but partnerships makes movements. Mr. President, our Premier, I stand here boldly to invite you to come and hold hands with Mr. Central South Africa. Not for a rally, not for media moments, not for political speech. Come and walk with us. Speak to the forgotten, rebuild trust, and restore hope to our people. We are ready to get our hands dirty. We are ready to rebuild our society, one man at a time. Because when men stand up, violence must sit down. Today we declare, not in our name, not on our watch, never again. Mr. President, our Premier, our Mayor, I ask you to walk with us. Thank you.
Re ke nke monyetla ona ke dumedise bohle ba teng ka mona ke dumedise His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa ho khutsufatsa fela ke tla re protocol observed. Mr. President, ho nna mona ke tshwere dillo, ke tshwere leqeba, ke tshwere dikgapha tsa bana ba Afrika Borwa, tsa bomme ba Afrika Borwa, ba lakatsang ka jeno lena hore jwalo ka ntate wa bona. O tla ntshwarela President mo ke tla tsamantse ke re ntate, hobane ka jeno re tlo bua le bontate ho latela matsoho a bontate a kgenathetseng madi. Mr. President, this is an urgent call for decisive action to end GBVF in the province. His need more offense because of GBV. We also don't need more broken families because of GBV. We, the women, children, LGBTQI community of this country, are aware that gender-based violence against women, children, and LGBTQI people has reached a point where it must be treated with urgency it deserves. The prevalence of GBV against women, children, and LGBTQI has created an environment that not even animals can live in. We are also aware and acknowledge the recent declaration from you, His Excellency, Mr. President, declaring GBF as a national disaster. His Excellency, this memorandum set out a list of demands to the state. We believe that an integrated approach to fight GBVF, where different arms of government work together, has the ability to ensure better protection for women, children, and LGBTQI people. We understand that different arms of government have different powers and functions. It is not the intention of our memorandum to comprehensively set out what each entity must do. Our aim is to demand that state must do everything within its powers to enable us to realize our right to be free from violence. GBF has stolen childhood, His Excellency. Protect our children and women. Our right to be free from violence and end GBF, to protect our children more aggressively, His Excellency, this one is very much important. There's a ticking time bomb where boys have now been victims of GBF, where they are now raped, and because bana ba bashimane ba hotse ka ntho gore monna ke nku halle ha ba bue ha ba hlekefetswa ke batho ba bontate. Now it's a ticking time bomb e leng gore ha e exploda re tlo iphumana re na le mathata. To strengthen the child protection service, to put more efforts in schools-based programs, to increase the number of social workers, forensic nurses, and fill all vacant posts. User-friendly police stations ensure police stations are accessible, welcoming, and equipped to handle victims' needs. Proper case handling. We also demand training of SCPS officials and victim center staff to handle GBF cases with sensitivity, efficiency, and provide immediate response to reported cases. Active tracking system, or create a nation nerve system to track cases of GBF to avoid missing dockets and to have an effective docket monitoring system. DNA sampling and results be prioritized and feedback be given or provided to detectives to proceed swiftly with cases. We no longer want cases that are stuck because of DNAs. Abuse of power or influence on cases must be prevented by implementing strict action towards those found to be guilty of bribing. Create emergency safe shelters for victims in emergency situations. Strengthen Free State Police capacity by developing specialized GBF units at all major stations and hotspots. Implement short time frames in solving and dealing with GBF cases to decrease cases that stall because of backlogs. NPA and SAPS must create strong communication channels for efficient case flow. There must be proper evidence collection to avoid cases that lack evidence and results in perpetrators being acquitted. Invest more in prevention and not only response. Expand more on men's programs that challenges harmful masculinity. We suggest a partnership with academic institutions and hospitals for fast action in releasing DNA results and implement of more forensic officials to decrease DNA backlogs. Reduce delays in protection orders, where protection order is just a paper but has victims who hold the paper but end up being murdered. To victims fleeing abuse homes. We further demand a monitoring plan for a national strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide. Furthermore, gender diversity as it relates. Furthermore, it relates to LGBTQI persons must be integrated in fight against GBV. As I conclude, Mr. President, this memorandum is handed over to you in deep pain and sorrow by all civil society organizations, stakeholders, communities, families, victims or survivors, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons affected by GBV in the Free State. These demands serve to highlight the urgent need for action against gender-based violence and femicide in the province. Honorable Premier, can I give you the memorandum?
Re a leboha ho Ntate Duncan. Re tlo tswela pele o bitsetsa on stage batho ba latelang. Bomme le bontate le ska la tshwenyeha, bomme ba emeng mo ka melaetsa e ngotsweng. Ha hona letho le lebe le ba le etsang, empa fela ba batla ho fetisa molaetsa o itseng. Re tlo bitsetsa ka pele Archie Phithini, a tlo arolelana le rona his deeply personal testimony rooted in his upbringing. Ka mora hae o tla latela o tla tla a re fa tsa hae ditaba stage mo. Ntate Archie.
Greetings, Honorable President, Ministers,
children's children, so that they know it's a better world for them. I think if they can make it a better place. Think about they know it's a better world for them, and think if they can make it a better place.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place is much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for. There's a love that cares.
Re a leboha. A re ba opele matsoho. Ke sehlopha sa bomme ba fumanehang ka nako tsohle moo ba hlokahalang teng. Ha hona le mathata ana re kopantshitseng ka jeno mona. Re tla tswella pele ka program Archie.
Thank you, Program Director, Honorable MEC. Greetings to Honorable President, Ministers, Deputy Ministers present, our own Premier, your MECs, our Mayor, and everyone present. I say thank you very much for the opportunity. Mine, Honorable President, it's more about the story of a silent boy growing up, having experienced what GBV can do. I grew up in a family that was a very broken family. As a child, I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was normal. But the damage that it has caused in my life as a child, I only realized when I got married to my wife that actually there was a monster sleeping in me. I never became violent to my wife, but emotionally I was damaging because I thought what I saw growing up, it was what it was. Honorable President, we don't address these issues. We only address physical violence. We only address femicide. But allow me today to share the damage that emotional abuse can do to a person, especially a male. We are standing here today with a lot of men born in the same family as I was, who are still thinking that what they saw is what was supposed to have been doing, because all of us, we become what we see, not what we are told. Today, allow me, President, to stand here and say, I managed to overcome the circumstances that I was born into and become a better person. Today, I'm a co-founder of a men's forum called Banabu and Fisted Men's Forum, where we are trying to unmute men, because the society has muted men, so that's why you see most men are bursting and they're emotionally breaking down. That is the reason why you find so many men are perpetrators of femicide and all other heinous crimes against women. My President, indeed a pandemic. And as men, I stand today and say not in our name. We are fortunate to be having ministers like Minister Chikunga, who is very passionate about the disability sector. There are heinous crimes committed against the disability people for their vulnerability, and no one is standing and speaking on their behalf. It's our responsibility as a society to say, not in our name, we will protect the disability people with our lives, with our backs against the wall. We will do everything in our power. The other abuse that we don't address is this abuse of perpetuated against the LGBTQI communities. We've got men that are abusing the LGBTQI community in silence and gaslighting them. But at night, these people are valuable to them. Then, because sexual intercourse is an emotional attached action, then the person becomes so attached. When the person follow-ups, then the person is being mocked. And that on its own is an abuse, and it's part of GBV. We need to speak on behalf of the LGBTQI community because they've got the right to exist in this society. They've got the right to be loved and to have relations as the people that the Constitution of this country protects. Today, in my closing, I am begging all men that are sitting here. I saw on social media, the Honorable President, how will these women know actually what is bothering us for us to do what we are doing against them? You must listen carefully. I don't say they do. I say we, because I'm a man also. It doesn't mean if I don't do it, others are not doing it. I must include myself in order to be a reflection, a true reflection of what the society is. Moruti Magele, you said something very powerful in your sermon. Monna eo kwena. Bontate, monna eo kwena. The change that we want to see in South Africa, Mangaung, in Free State, you are that change. Because once you can change yourself, we are one step down. So it means if all of us men in here can take responsibility of our actions and stop perpetuating GBV against women and children, we will be able to win this warfare. Because government alone cannot do it. Civil society alone cannot do it. The office of the president alone cannot do it. The churches alone cannot do it. But it starts with an individual to say, I have done enough damage. Let me just change my ways. Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Next speaker.
In the interest of time, His Excellency the President and the Premier and all the dignitaries, protocol observed. Mine is a short message, really of encouragement. South Africa is full of potential. This gathering really is a gathering that demonstrates that potential. My call today is that we need to look into our history so that we can gather hope and strength to be able to address the pandemic of GBVF. And for me, I think the one glimpse of hope that I want to present before us is our very own history. We were the last country to be released from the shackles of coloniality and apartheid. At the time when we were about to be released, right at the threshold, the whole world looked into South Africa with wonder, what will happen? A lot of people expected that the masses of our people, the black people, when they get a chance to stand up and get their country, the option would be for us to go violent. There will be bloodshed. There will be civil war. That expectation was not unusual and strange, because right in 1990 and across the continent, we had seen wars, we have seen civil wars, we have seen civil unrest. In 1990 in Rwanda, we see a genocide that brings down 1 million lives. As the world was looking into this small experiment called South Africa, they expected blood. But the potential of this country, the leadership of this country, the people of this country took a different route. They chose peace over violence. They chose reconciliation. Let's look and go back to that history. When we sang together, let's bring peace in our land. Let's bring hope in our land. Let's bring healing in our land. I stand here to encourage us that the way we stood up to challenge the tough circumstances, we went to exiles, we engaged stakeholders from across the world, communities formed forums, your UDFs, the street committees in the fight against apartheid. If we could do it in the past, what can make us not to be able to gather that spirit and stand up as a nation and say we can be victors? We can take the destiny of South Africa into our own hands and make a difference for everyone that lives here. The proposition of our country is a better life for everyone. Who is going to be able to champion that proposition? I call you today to say, like we said, let's put arms down. When Chris Hani was put down, many were ready to go to war. We saw a giant in our midst in the person of Nelson Mandela, took the news and spoke to the nation, put down the weapons. I want to make the same message today. Men out there, put down the violence. Men out there, spread the message of peace. Men out there, look after the young boys. Men out there, let's build our streets. Men out there, let's be voices of change. Mr. President, as I close, I have written a book as an academic, as a contribution to this fight, Understanding and Combating Gender-Based Violence. Because as an academic, I cannot write high-flying, abstract, abstruse issues that have got nothing to do with the community. As a contribution to this fight, I've committed my intellectual abilities to fight this issue. And each and every one of us here can contribute something. You can contribute your voice. You can contribute your time. You can contribute your money. And most importantly, you can share a voice of Ubuntu with someone. I thank you. Mr. President, this is your gift.
Yeah, it's characteristic of academics. Yabona prof ngoke bese fudumal. We are going to do a little amendment to the program by asking the president to ascend the stage and talk to all of us. We'll continue immediately thereafter to call on stage immediately after the president, Minister Chikunga, just to get your reflections only. Okay. I can ask you to come forward at the moment, and as you do your reflections, you'll also invite the president on stage.
Thank you very much, Program Director, MEC Mbalula, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, Premier of the Free State, Honorable Makwinli Sohamate, Minister Mamluko Kupai, MECs, Deputy Ministers, Speaker of the Provincial Legislature, Ndaten Dukwana, MPs, MPLs, mayors and councillors, academia, traditional and religious leaders, civil society and men's formations, survivors who are with us today, distinguished guests, compatriots. Let me begin by appreciating the Free State for convening this men's Indaba during the 16 days of activism. This is not symbolic, it is a deliberate call for men to sit down together and confront what is happening in our country. Program Director, this gathering shows that men in this province are stepping forward, and for that, we thank you. In my work, I travel across South Africa, from Polokwane to Matatiel, from Lusikisiki to Mangaung. I sit in rondavels, in community halls, in churches and schools, and everywhere children chose violence over love. Across our cultures and our faith traditions, the role of men has always been clear. Scripture teaches that husbands must love their wives as Christ loved the church, with sacrifice, protection, and honor. Onkwane Somdeni, the guardian and the stabilizing pillar of the home. Yet across South Africa, that sacred duty has been abandoned. Homes that should be sanctuaries have become dangerous places. And we must say it plainly, women are not killing themselves. The violence etched into their bodies and their memories come overwhelmingly from men. Just this past Monday in KZN, a cheating husband arrived in the early hours of the morning, having not been at home for the whole weekend. He demanded, arriving at that time, food from the wife. When the wife said, "But I'm sleeping," His response was fatally shooting him 5 times. And that wife will be buried this coming Saturday. And then he decided to kill himself. Also this morning, we woke up with the news that an abusive husband fatally shot and killed his police wife in Mpumalanga. These are the things that are happening. And therefore, one Lutheran and famous Lutheran priest once said, silence in the face of evil is itself evil. He said, God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. So, program director, that is why this Indaba matters, and it matters so much. Across the country, we are beginning to see men in the creative industry, in the media, in the film sector, in sports, in academic institutions, and business spaces. We see the work of the Goodman Foundation, Empower Works, and the Transforming Mentalities program led by the Department of Higher Education and Training. These are the signs of hope, prove that many men are deeply troubled by what is happening and are searching for a different way to be men. But it is not yet enough. As a matter of fact, we may as well pass many laws which are important, run many campaigns, all that is important, but that will not turn this scourge and this pandemic away. What will help us will when men themselves decide that gender-based violence must stop. Men themselves, men who are thinking being, who are social being, who are physical being, must themselves say, I am not personally going to abuse a woman, then things will change. They must say this in their homes where we are all not there. They must say it when they are with their friends. They must say it in the taxi industry, in the taverns. And let's say this, in the workplaces, both public and private, men who wear ties and suits must stop demanding sex from young girls, including interns, to secure permanent employment. Stop it. It is wrong, it is unethical, it is unprofessional, and it is abominable. It must be stopped. It is a sin. Our young children go to universities, they go to tertiary institutions to study, to come back and apply for work. Give them work. Don't make them pay with their bodies. It is wrong. Women are emotionally abused. They are called names by their own husband. They are told by their husband that you are cold. Oh, I'm a woman myself. If there's one thing that I wouldn't want, is to be told by my husband that suddenly I am cold. Please, emotional abuse is gender-based violence. Financial abuse is gender-based violence. Where as a man are you spending your salary when you have a family and you have a wife? So indeed, this Indaba cannot be a once-off event. It must be a turning point. And of course, as we think this is an important Indaba, But allow me, Program Director, to say this, that just a day we celebrated the International Disability Day, and we also closed the Disability Rights Awareness Month just yesterday. And I want to bring that work directly into this man's Indaba, because gender-based violence and disability are deeply connected. During a visit to one of the provinces, we met two women whose lives reflect this link. The first woman was a woman who lost her arm in an incident of gender-based violence after being attacked and hacked by her sister's partner. In the same community, we met another woman who had been born with a disability and was later raped by her neighbor, targeted because she was less able to defend herself and less likely to be believed. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not isolated incidents. They echo what our National Gender-Based Violence Prevalence Study confirms, that women with disabilities are much more subjected to violence than women without disabilities. From the two incidents, the truth is clear. Violence can result in disability, and disability can increase vulnerability to violence. And that is why we are also prioritizing disability. Mayor, Premier, Pillar 5 of our National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence is about empowerment of women. We also must empower women with disabilities. And that is why I am happy to inform you that the supported employment enterprises that are referred to as C, these are factories that we find in 8 provinces that are owned by the state, where women and persons with disabilities work. They are now exempted from the procurement policies. And therefore, I implore you to order linen and to order desks from them so that we can increase their employment. Please allow me. But also, we are at 4% of their employment. Please employ them. When you appoint boards, please also consider at least one person with disability in those boards. President, under your gracious leadership, South Africa is happy to have a president like yourself. I want to thank you, sir, for your steadfast leadership in this struggle. You have consistently treated gender-based violence as a national crisis, not a seasonal campaign. Through the presidential summits, the strengthening of the National Strategic Plan, the establishment of the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Response Fund, the appointment of the Interministerial Committee, the classification of gender-based violence as a national disaster, as well as the relentless accountability, you have ensured that safety, dignity, and just championing the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. Program Director, I see you standing behind me. It is indeed my honor and privilege to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, to ascend to the podium and address this men's Indaba. I thank you very much.
Free statement, let's welcome the president in our own way. Let's bring the torch, let's bring the torch. All men in the house, let's greet the president. All men in the house, the president wants to see all of you.
Mandla. Ke a leboga. Ke a leboga. Ke a leboga haholo. Dumelang. Sanbonan. Abshin. Dimasiari. Goeiemiddag. Lochani. Le a lahlea jwale. Motsamaisa mosebetsi ke o dumedise. Ke dumedise di-minister tsa rona, Minister Chikunga, o qetang ho bua hona jwale mona. A ileng a mpitsa hore ke tle mona. Ke dumedise le Minister Mamoloko Kubai, le Premier wa rona wa Free State, le di-MEC tse a sebetsang le tsona. Ke dumedise le di-Deputy Minister tse teng mona, le di maloko a Palamente e kgolo ya naha e ko Cape Town, le legislature ya hona mona Free State. Ke dumedise le Executive Mayor wa mona Mangaung, Councillor Gregory Ntatisi. Ke dumedise le baetapele ba mekgatlo yohle ya dipolotiki ba teng mona. Ke dumedise baruti ba hara rona mona. Ke dumedise le maloko le baetapele ba mekgatlo ya setjhaba e teng ka hara rona, le bao ba na leng di-business tsa bona ke ba dumedise. Ke dumedise lona kaofela ba leng di-delegates tsa Men's Indaba. Ke thabile haholo ho ba mona Free State, haholoholo ho ba kopanong yena e kgolo hakana. Ha ke soka ke ba kopanong e kgolo hakana Free State e tletseng banna. Ke re ha ke eme mona ke sheba, ke bona majority ya batho ba leng mona ke bontate, ke bontate moholo, ke bo malome, ke bahlankana. Ha ke le sheba, ke bona batho ba ikemiseditseng ka nnete ho lwantsha gender-based violence and femicide. Ke a le leboha ho ba ha lona mona ka nnete. You are here as men of our country, but also supported, correctly so, by the women of our country, because you recognize that violence against women and children is not only a pandemic. During COVID-19, I did say that and declared that we have another pandemic, which is gender-based violence. A few days ago, we actually classified gender-based violence and femicide as a disaster. It's a national disaster. A national disaster that should make all the men in our country drop our heads in shame, drop our heads in sorrow. But I'm glad to be here because I see men who have chosen to come here to raise their heads in commitment, to raise their heads in determination to bring an end to gender-based violence. And I applaud you for that. And I thank you. You are here because you have taken a stand and you are ready to stand up and be counted as men and boys who declare that not in my name. I'd like to congratulate the provincial government for convening this men's Indaba and for the absolutely outstanding organization that I have never seen in the Free State, of seeing so many people seated and listening carefully. I say thank you to the provincial government for doing so. We are meeting as South Africa and the world as we observe 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The recent crime statistics for the first 2 quarters of 25 and 26 financial year paint a worrying picture. And despite there being a drop in serious crimes around the country, contact sexual offenses and attempted sexual offenses have gone up. That means that more women and girls and even young boys have been victims of sexual assault, rape, and attempted rape. And as we have heard, every day across this beautiful country of ours, the safety and dignity of women and children is being undermined by the actions of violent men who abuse our women, who abuse our sisters, our wives, our mothers, our grandmothers, and our little girls. As I've said many times in the past, gender-based violence is not a problem of women, as of men, and about the terrible men of our country. Some, in the name of culture and tradition, commit these crimes. In the name of proving their masculinity, commit these crimes. In the name of all forms of justifications, commit these crimes. Minister Chikunga and Minister Kubai and Minister Tolasha, the actions that continue to be taken. For example, we opened a sexual offences court, Kobotshabelo, as part of the ongoing work to support survivors and to ensure that they get justice for the crimes that are perpetrated against them. But the reality is that we can talk the whole day. Re ka bua e seng letsatsi le le leng, re ka bua matsatsi a mangata, but nnete ya sala. Nnete ke hore banna a re hlomphe basadi. Banna ha re bona batho ba basadi re bona dikatana fela. Ntho eo e tlamehile hore e fele. Men must respect the women of South Africa. They are the most valuable asset that this country has. And men must stop abusing the assets of this country, which are the women of our country. So what we now need to do as men is today, as I've seen and as I've heard, pledges have been made speeches have been made, and I particularly liked the message of Professor Molefe Motsamai. Ona eme mona. Ke mo jweditse hore o bua ha monate ha a tshwane le professor. Empa o bua ha monate. And we want men like him to stand up and talk about what gender-based violence is doing to the women of our country. We want men like him to stand tall. And as we are all here today, we should all stand tall and say, not in our name, and all of us must make the same pledge that we will not raise a single finger or a single hand against the women of our country, that we will respect the women of our country, and that we will treat the women of our country with dignity, with consideration and respect. And I am glad that by directly engaging ourselves as men in this whole challenge of gender-based violence, we will be able to send a very clear message, even to those who are not here, even to the women. We are the ones who must be the evangelists and send clear messages to them and make it clear that we as the men of South Africa have decided that we will not tolerate any man who raises a man, who rapes a woman and who murders a woman, because that is totally unacceptable to us, as it impugns on our dignity as the men of South Africa. I'm not here to criticize all men. We are here because we see the men of our country as a solution. We've heard powerful testimony of from the men's sector who shared their experiences. And we know that across this country, there are millions of good and decent men and boys who would never even consider abusing or hurting a woman, and that they are tired of being told that all men are a problem. You want your voices to be heard, women and children in your lives and in our country, but by everyone. Yet at the same time, we know that it is time for the men of this country to stop being on the sidelines, to stop being spectators. Let us not think that our silence as men does not mean our complicity. Let us not assume that by looking away as another man abuses a woman, we are not guilty too, because this crime continues to fester in a culture of silence. What is the consequence of that silence? Children become frightened. Children regard it as normal, as one of the people who was testifying here. Women become terrified. Girlfriends become terrified. We have grieving mothers, and we have angry sons watching and also learning. So this man's Indaba is a clear statement that we are no longer outsourcing the fight against gender-based violence and femicide to women, who are the victims. We know that change must begin with us. Ke rona ba tlameileng hore re bue ka gender-based violence. Ke rona ba tlameileng hore re dule re bua ka yona, so that we must send the message very clearly The reason why we have said it's a national disaster is because we want government, all of government, to be engaged in a number of ways to try to curb gender-based violence. But in the end, it is us as the citizens of South Africa, but more importantly as the men of South Africa, who must deal with gender-based violence. We cannot outsource it to the women of our country because they are the victims. We are the ones who must act and stop gender-based violence. South Africa has a crisis we don't speak about openly enough, and one of those crises is our broken families. The vast majority of children in our country don't live with their biological fathers. This is a terrible tragedy. The presence of a father in the home is important to shaping the attitudes and the behavior of boys, father figures, and this is heartbreaking. Yes, we know that not all fathers are good fathers. Yes, we know that other men, stepfathers, partners of the mothers or extended family continue to play a role in the lives of many boys. Yes, we know that the role of our history has played a terrible role in breaking up families, particularly black families. We must also acknowledge that there are other many reasons why men also desert their family units. But in the end, we have to call on men that once you become a father, your job and your duty is to become the father and not to run away and not to think you are outsourcing your role as a father, because families are built by present fathers. The fathers must always be present in the family to guide the children. We must also speak the truth. Many men in this country are shirking their responsibilities to their children, leaving their mothers, their grandparents, and other caregivers to struggle alone with raising them. It is said that more than 31% of men, yes, are unemployed. But even if you are unemployed, you need to continue raising and being present in the life of your children, particularly your sons. When it comes to youth unemployment rate, yes, we know that we have a huge youth unemployment rate. Young boys are increasingly dropping out of school. 4 in 10 learners are failing to finish school, and many of them are boys. Now, if fathers are present in their lives, the fathers are the ones who will take up the responsibility of making sure that these boys do not drop out of school. They will also be able to insist that these boys do not become gang members. They will also take up the responsibility of making sure that they do not fall susceptible to drugs. Now, this is the responsibility that we men must play in the lives of our young boys. And this is the role that is in many ways God-given that we must execute. Now, in the end, our dereliction of these problems, of these challenges, results in violence that is inbred as young people grow up. We heard from a testimony from one of my brothers who stood here and said that as he saw violence being perpetrated even in the family, he thought it was normal. And that is what he grew up with. And much as he held himself back from perpetrating violence, but the abuse issue stayed in his mind. It stayed in his heart, and he had to rid himself of that. And today we are saying, men must stop abusing women. Men must respect the women of our country. That is a responsibility that we have as men to the women of our country. We must rid ourselves of this. The image that is being pushed in communities, on television, on social media, and virtually everywhere, that is that violence is growing. And we are the ones who must curb that violence. The police will never be present everywhere. The police will never be present in your bedroom. The police will never be present in your sitting room. You are the one as a man who must police yourself. And we are saying, as men, let us be present in the lives of our boys so that our boys grow up to be the good men that South Africa needs. That treating women and girls in a particular ways should show that we respect them. Relationships now, these days, have become a battleground. According to a survey on GBV published last year, a third of South African women say they have experienced physical violence in their lifetime, and in most of the cases have involved intimate partners. So the violence takes place between intimate partners. And that is why it is so important for us to have this type of dialogue and to talk to the men of our country. Now, these types of dialogues are important. More than 50% of women surveyed had also experienced psychological and emotional abuse. Again, in most cases, the perpetrator was someone they were in a relationship with. And most cases of femicide are committed by partners or ex-partners. Abuse does not only refer to bruises, it is broad-based. There are men and boys who have problems with alcohol and substance abuse, who terrorize their family members, their mothers and grandmothers, and they steal money and possessions for their next fix. This is another problem that we as communities must deal with. The abusers of women and children live amongst us. They are present amongst us on a daily basis. They are fathers, they are sons, they are grandfathers, they are uncles and cousins and friends. And as you hear the stories, they are truly horrendous stories of how women are abused. And in many ways, abusing a young girl or a woman by raping her, by abusing her in other ways, is like a death sentence. And in the end, we as men also kill the women of our country. And these things aren't happening in some faraway place. They are happening in our schools, at our places of worship, at workplaces, at places of higher learning, in nightclubs and in homes. And most shamefully, when they happen, the other men look away. And quite often, the community knows. It gets to know precisely what happened. And this is the reason why we must all stand up, particularly the men in our country. We must stand up and say, not in our name, not in our country, not in our community, not around us, and we will not allow it to happen as the men of South Africa. It must stop. And today, Bondati, we must be brave enough to say that whether it is physical, mental, economic, or in other forms of abuse of women, they are all abuse. And as men, we need to ask ourselves, of course, what are the deep-rooted causes and attitudes that we have towards women and girls that is fueling this type of behavior? And once we recognize them, we need to ask for help. The toxic masculinity, ntwe ya hore ke monna, lentswe la ka le tlamehile hore le mamelwe, hore la ke fihlile hae bosiu, mme or mosadi wa ka a robetse kapa partner ya ka e robetse, a tsohe, as Minister Chikunga was saying, ampehele because ke monna, hore mosadi a hona lentswe le a ka le beyang against lentswe la ka. That is toxic masculinity. And it goes against the tenets of our Constitution, because our Constitution says we are all equal. We are all equal, not only before the law, but we are equal to one another. A hona o mong o moholo ho feta o mong. Ra lekana kaofela. And re tlamehile hore we must act like ra lekana. Ha o fihla lapeng, o jwetse mme lapeng hore President o itse nna le wena ra lekana. Ra lekana. Re na le ditokelo tse tshwanang. And o mo jwetse hore President o itse ho tlohela kajeko lena ditokelo tsa hao le tsa ka di a tshwana. Ke ona tsela eno. The men of this country, yes, face a number of challenges. Challenges that are very difficult, that have to do with our past, but those challenges are not an excuse to abuse women. Our forebears, even as they face many challenges, they did not abuse our great-great-grandmothers. They did not abuse their wives, their sisters. They did not abuse the women that they lived with. Ho tloha kgale, jwale le rona we are supposed to do that. Now, let me be clear. There is no justification whatsoever for gender-based violence. O seke wa re, ka hobane ha ke sebetse, ke yona ntho e nketsang hore ke otle mme lapeng. Le yona ntho e ya jwala. It does not mean hore ha o nwele jwala o tlamehile hore o etse mosebetsi. Indaba must critically interrogate all these issues and lead the way for the country in imagining what it means to be a man in South Africa today. We need men's Indabas and organized dialogues with men and boys across the country. And I can tell you, I can say that I am almost certain, Hori, all of you who are here, student center, to a point where the female student center, to a point where the female students were afraid to walk on campus in the evening. And some students had even been killed by their fellow students. The university leadership took it upon themselves to organize a men's dialogue on campus, the causes of gender-based violence. And they got them involved in dialogue over a number of weeks. And after that, they were able to finally see gender-based violence, the rape of women, the abuse of women being eliminated. The women then started saying, we are now able to walk around the campus at night without any fear. Now, this is what has happened in one of our university campuses. And that is why I'm calling upon all of us to get involved in men's dialogues, in dialogues right throughout the country. It is one of those things that I believe we need to do as part of getting rid of this disaster that has befallen our country. I'm calling upon men throughout the country, throughout their various formations, their organizations. It could be a soccer club, it could be a boxing club, it could be a debating club, it could be even a political organization branch. And I'm saying, from now on, let us talk openly about gender-based violence. Let us have dialogues. It can be dialogues of 3 people. It can be dialogues of 5 people. We don't need to be 5,000 like we are here today. But I applaud you for being 5,000 men who have come together in a dialogue like this. I really applaud you. Premier, you have initiated something really good, and let this be the beginning of a process that will spread throughout the country, that we should have dialogues. Men should meet and talk about gender-based violence. And yes, talk about those men who ply on young women. Yes, talk about those men who at work do not want to recognize the ability of women and expect hore ha motho wa mosadi a fumana promotion o tlameile hore a ye mpetong pele a ile robala le wena. Ntho eno, let's talk about it, because I have heard that it happens. There are men in authority. Men in authority, they operate silently. They expect women who should be recognized, promoted, and all that, not to get the promotion until they sleep with them. That too must end. Our dialogues must talk about that. And when I talk about this, ke fumana hore banna ba bangata a ba shape matsoho. A ba shape matsoho. Ke a le bona. Ke a le bona, ebile ke le shebile. Se ding o fumana hore le di shapela matsoho haholo. Ena yona, ka hobane it happens silently. A le shapele matsoho. E shapele matsoho le yona. So we need, I'm calling on all the men in our country, and men who are in leadership positions, to gather a number of men to hold these dialogues. And I'm stressing it because we have seen it working. We have seen it working at a campus, at a university in our country, where gender-based violence and the rape of young women was rife. And after they held their dialogues, their men's dialogues firstly, and then they mixed it with the women, it went down and it disappeared for that time. So we need to continue to talk about this. I have said to my ministers as well that I want to hear, even in government as leaders, that we must talk about gender-based violence. We must not keep quiet about it. We must raise this specter, this ugly specter of gender-based violence more publicly. I have consistently spoken about gender-based violence. And that is why during COVID, when it just raised its ugly head, we declared it that's another pandemic. Now, we have classified it as a disaster. And we are going to be coming up with measures that are going to help us deal with it. But at the same time, this is a societal problem. All of society must join hands and deal with it. And we should not only deal with it during the 16 days of activism campaign. These engagements must provide men and boys with a safe space, yes, also to be vulnerable and to be honest without being stereotyped as abusers or potential abusers. There needs to be honest and open dialogue around what the conditions are that are making men turn into monsters, turn into terrible people who abuse women, who even kill women. We need to deal with how this happens, on what support mechanisms we need to embark upon to support and help men and boys who are struggling, on counseling and other platforms or other forms of psychological assistance or support. We need to come up with those as prevention measures as well. On the rehabilitation of gender-based violence offenders, we also need to look at that so we can break the cycle of violence once and for all. So in the end, we are calling for a very comprehensive approach to gender-based violence. It does not help the cause against gender-based violence that we are only intervening once perpetrators have already entered the criminal justice system. We need to take preventative efforts and having dialogues and raising the level of awareness and consciousness of men is a very important initiative. All of society must be part of this effort and support vulnerable men and boys who are often too ashamed to ask for help. South Africa does not need a so-called new generation. Babambarno, a new generation of men. It needs the men and boys of this generation to do better and to be better men and to be real men, because real men do not rape. Real men do not abuse their women. Real men, as Minister Chikunga said, love their women. They protect their women. They support their women. And they encourage their women to be better. And the other important thing, of course, that we need to remember is that even as men, we all have mothers. And many of us have sisters. And many of us have aunts. And many of us have grandmothers. We need to ask ourselves, and many of us have daughters, we need to ask ourselves whether what we do against other women in the form of abuse, assault, and rape is what we would want to see being done to our daughters, to our wives, to our mothers, and to our aunts, and so on. And the answer has to be no. And if that be the case, then you must be a real man and become the real South African man that we want to see. South Africa needs men who respect women, who are compassionate, who are accountable, and who are strong in character, not with their fists. We need men who are protectors of women, not perpetrators. We need men who are role models to other men, particularly young men, in how they engage with and treat women and girls. We need men who call out the ill treatment of women by other men, and report crimes against those who rape and kill women. Men of South Africa, I call on you to stand up and be counted. Let us say resoundingly, not in our name. Let the men stand up and say, not in our name. Let me hear the men stand up and say, not in our name. And let me hear men saying, we will respect the women of South Africa. We will protect the women of South Africa. And we will respect the rights of the women of South Africa. As you are still on your feet, gender-based violence will fall when men rise. When men stand up like you are standing today, that's when gender-based violence will fall. That is how we as the men of South Africa then rise. And as we rise with our women. We love our women. We protect our women. And we all rise together because nothing can stop us. Let us all say, nothing can stop us from ending gender-based violence. Amandla. Ke a leboha.
kaofela re tlile go le wena o tlile go ela re moriba Yeah.